Hi, welcome to lecture 5 for writing 329. This lecture just wraps up a couple of details regarding grant writing, some of which may be useful to you and maybe some of which may not. Anyway, I'll just get back into my PowerPoint here. There we go. Yes, so some funders require cover letters, and sorry, there's a cover letter. It's on page 150 rather than 154, a different edition. And so cover letters act as kind of a transmittal for a grant document if they want them. Again, if they're accepting the grant proposal via an electronic form, they may not need a cover letter. But I would like you to write one because it's good practice and it helps me catch people who've never written a business letter before, and I want to make sure that you know how to do that. And so the cover letter would be in a business letter format. I'm just looking at the one in our textbook, so if you're on page 150, you can take a look at it too. Business letters they're usually on letterhead. They have a date. They have what's called an inside address, which is the address to which the letter is being sent. And they have a salutation that begins with the word dear. Some of my students don't like to use the word dear because it feels too emotional or something, but it's just a convention. So use the word dear and use a professional way of greeting someone. You might use both the first and last name. You might use Mr. or Ms. And then either a colon or a comma, right? So the top of the business letter has a business letter convention in the format. And then at the end of the business letter, make sure to thank. Make sure to have a complimentary close that's like sincerely or yours truly, and then the signature and a name. One thing I don't like about this letter is it doesn't have a thank you. And the second thing I don't like about this letter is the first sentence should be what? The proposal sentence or proposal statement, right? The first sentence can just be thrown away. It doesn't matter. So make sure that your first sentence of your letter indicates your organization, the money you're seeking, and the purpose. A cover letter also is an opportunity to create a mini grant proposal, right? So use your proposal structure, include a proposal statement in the first sentence, include a paragraph about need, a paragraph about project description, a paragraph of rationale, an investment statement, a thank you, a complimentary close, boom, you're done. Because if the cover letter is read, it might be nice to have that little package in it so that someone reading your grant proposal will get a little bit of a teaser and they'll know enough about the details of the project to be interested. So I would recommend doing that in the cover letter. And if the cover letter is not required, then you're just doing it for me, not for your community partner. Okay, the other thing I want to mention is that grant writing in university settings or in complex nonprofit settings may require a number of steps. There may be an approval process. There may be people who have to sign off on your project. And it's really important to make sure to communicate with them in the way they expect. In a sense, I may be doing a project and getting grant funding to pay for it and earned income and donated stuff and whatever else. But in the larger institutional setting, I am putting the institution at risk if I commit to something that the finance people don't want to commit to. So if you are operating in a big setting like that, make sure that you use the approval process, get the right people to sign off on things. If there's a commitment to match the funding, right, either you have to do it or the institution has to do it to make it happen, or the funder will not be happy. The other thing that needs to happen in a university setting is you want to avoid competing with yourself, right? So if there's 12 people who want to ask for money from the Wild Horse Foundation, they won't accept those, right? You can only have one per quarter with a different unit of your organization. I wrote a grant in the last couple of years for the LeGrand School District, and it was directed at the Wild Horse Foundation, but they had, unfortunately, an outstanding grant report that hadn't been submitted. So I actually couldn't they couldn't send that grant in until that report was submitted. So again, the communication needs to happen in those larger institutional settings. The last few things I want to say about grant writing have to do with putting the whole thing together, right? So you want to, again, follow the RFP exactly, give them exactly what they're asking for, not a character more. There's a wonderful checklist in chapter 18 that you can run your draft by, just to make sure you've got everything in it. Grant writers do not submit grant proposals. Only people in charge of the finances can do that. And then there's some nice discussion in our textbook, chapters 19, 20, and 23 about organization next steps. And as a grant writer, you're really not obligated to do much of that, but it's good to know that your community partner is going to need to do that. One thing you can do as a grant writer is prepare them for the obligations that they might need to fulfill if the grant is funded. You could just give them a document, they could put it in a file. If they get the check, then they can go back to it and check things off. So that's something a grant writer can help an organization with. Yeah, so I think that's about everything that I had to say about that. Oh, none of those dates is right, so maybe I'll just tell you. Pay attention to the dates in the end of the term assignments, right? So once you've done all of the exercises, you'll do a draft of your grant proposal, and it would be great for peers and instructor to see the RFP so that we can help you make sure you're meeting it. And then you'll give that draft also to your community partner, get feedback, do a revision. And then that's essentially the end. The revision is the end of the term. I score everything, and then I usually get in contact with you if I need you to do something different. So I'll let you know toward the end of the term what your grade looks like. And if you have an A, I probably won't talk to you because it's done. But if it's less than an A, I might get in touch with you and say, hey, you could come back and do this and that. And it might move from a B to a B plus or a B to an A minus, something like that. So I usually have some interchange with students at the end of the term regarding grades. So I think that's all for now. Thanks very much. I look forward to reading your projects.